Welcome everyone. Today we're speaking with Monica Moore, who is developing sexuality education resources for NCRS. And what we're going to do is ask her questions around the work that she's been doing and some of the things that will be coming out to your schools very, very soon. So on behalf of Kusha and myself, welcome Monica.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, Kusha. And it's a pleasure to be chatting about this with you today. Some of you will know me as Monica Stowers because I have been divorced and annulled and remarried. But I go by either. I've got a theatre business writing shows, so I'm say Monica Moore underneath that. So I don't really mind what you call me, to be honest.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, just gorgeous and darling works very well. I think it works with everyone. Everyone feels good if they feel that you think you're gorgeous on the inside and the out. So I've been, as you know, researching. I've spent quite a lot of time researching my brief, which was to make some resources that teachers could use in schools to adapt to their sexuality programs. And as you know, the ministry has a document of requirements. So I looked specifically at our New Zealand statistics and what was going on and what was really happening. And I wrote myself a whole lot of draft ideas, and I have been working with Lynn Smith and Colin McLeod from NCRS and TCI.
Fantastic.
And sorry, did you want to jump in?
No, keep going.
So that Lynn has come up with the idea of changing the name to Having Life to the Full, which of course comes from John 10:10, because really to talk about sexuality, you can't. It's like talking about your arms. It's a big part of us, but it's not an entirety. So I think it's really important to talk about it in perspective of how we live our lives. And of course, the word sexuality is who you are as a male or a female and how you project your individuality and uniqueness on the world.
That's a beautiful. Description. Beautiful description.
Yeah, it's a far bigger, all-encompassing, and I think just to call it sexuality, which people then talk about sex and having sex and your genitals and getting all hooked up and into that without looking at the wider perspective of what it is, who we are, and where it fits into our lives, and of course our Catholic worldview. So I did a lot of work on that, and that's then what for me. My background is I've been a primary and a secondary teacher for about 32 years. I also worked in management off and on for a while, and of course I'm passionate about theatre and drama, and that's an important through drama. Particularly, you learn so much about communication and the way that we communicate with our kids. Our big thing is with particularly sexuality education is how we deliver that message. It's got to touch them. I always talk about the invisible concrete wall where the kids sit in class, nod, listen, write down the answer, say the right thing, and then they walk off and do almost the dead opposite amongst their peers. So we've got to make that real life connection. And the really big important thing is I've made a little teacher's booklet that I change every second day because it's so important to me that teachers really learn the skills. They're already there. We've just got to pluck out the right ones to touch on those kids. And I'll read a little bit out of it. And it says, you're better prepared to guide students in Catholic perspective of sexuality than you think. Having completed your apprenticeship into adulthood by going through the teenage years, it's important to remember the uncertainty that we all experience during those years. And being within a Catholic school, you'll have a fair idea that our faith is about love and acceptance and striving to an ideal. Of course, we're human beings. We don't always reach that ideal. And it's an ideal that has come from Jesus. And this resource has been developed specifically to meet our New Zealand's Catholic schools. Our statistics aren't great, to say the least. And so the essence of the resource is around empowering our young adults to feel confident in themselves. And that's our number one. I've got a lot of lessons on dignity. Sorry, I shouldn't call them lessons, they're resources. By the way, you're going to get these resources as a PDF file, which can be opened on almost every device, please God, I hope that works. And also the Word documents are there. So if you go through it and go, oh, this wouldn't work for our kids, or I don't feel comfortable about doing this, or we want it to meet the health and a specific objective in the sexuality and health and PE department, then you can go into the Word document, change it, and all you have to do is go to Save As and change it to a PDF. It's as easy as that. So you can create and recreate from this resource. They're not specific 1, 2, 3, 4, follow these guides, follow this lesson. They're ideas as a resource for you to adapt to your school.
Can I jump in there, Monica? Can I jump in there? I think that is an excellent thing, and thank you for that, because we have had programs that have gone, different programs that we've used from Australia and places like that in one school or one community, and it's worked extremely well. And then you put the same thing into another community and they say, no, that doesn't work for us. So having that ability for the teachers to use that resource and to put their particular school's gospel virtues, values, their whole understanding of who they are as a community onto it is excellent. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And also, if you're getting in there being, and I love this word, authentic, I use it all the time. I also work as a professional director, so I pop around the country directing shows from time to time, as well as my own ones, is that I talk about being authentic. If you're on the stage, people are going to see right through you if you're not being authentic in your character. It's same as teachers. So if you're getting out there thinking, I'm put a quick picture and away we go, and it's not going to work. Come sit down in your schools. Can I come down to your schools? Chat about schools, what's going to work, what's not going to work. And so I'll just go back to this thread of human dignity. It's so important. It's right through the resource, and you don't need to dig deep to discover that there's so many unhappy people in our country, and they don't feel great about themselves, and this in turn causes a lot of problems with your sexual relationship. So the first thing we do, we want these who they are. Nigel Lartis said once, being a teenager for a lot of people is the closest most people ever get to having a mental illness, because they don't think overly straight. But if we can make them feel that it's okay to discuss what they're thinking and what's going on, and also provide these values in our school charisms and what we're teaching, then it's all encompassing. It's part of a really big picture. And so this human dignity, and you need to be thinking yourselves as teachers, how are you thinking of them? Terrible stories about how kids in schools are being judged by their teachers because of their sexuality, because they're unsure, they're unconfident, they're going through a really bad period of time, and we need to support and understand and be non-judgmental while we're guiding them. So there's quite a number of resources just around human dignity, accepting people, how you treat them. And don't go thinking that bullying isn't happening when you're not looking, because it is. When kids are unsure or frightened of particularly boys, of the way another boy might be looking, feeling, or talking, they are giving them a hard time. And mostly it's because they themselves, the person doing the bullying, is frightened and unsure.
Thanks so much, Monica. I was just going to ask, just before this interview finishes, is what's the one message that you would like to get across to teachers who are going to be using this resource in their classroom? What's the one feature or aspect that you really want to drive home with them? You've been working on this for 2 terms. What is it that you hope to achieve through this resource, and that you hope the teachers are able to do because of this and because of your work?
You need to be non-judgmental, and keep going back to Jesus. He spoke to that Samaritan woman at the well, and that was a huge scandal. He didn't judge. He guided. He used stories. I've used a lot of stories. I've got real life people quite willing to have shared their story with us, and I've got a few extracts, and the young people talking about their experiences. There are people who've been married a long time. There are people who have just got married. There are people that have had broken marriages. There are people with broken relationships. And so they're real, and then from that there's activities. And the big important thing is to not judge. Mm-hmm. And, of course, teaching sexuality, the big thing I've learned, never say no, or you cannot do that. It's like saying don't look at the roof. Go back to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and as soon as, that's a big lesson about how we are always tempted when someone says don't or don't. Whatever you do, don't eat the apple. Of course, you want to eat the apple. I say to kids, whatever you do, don't look at the ceiling in the classroom. Everyone wants to have a look. So by saying that, you are actually can cause the dead off the problem. So don't say no. Teach guidance, teach knowledge, mental, and it really is so these kids can live their life to the full, have the best possible life. So come at it with a positive perspective. That's way more than one important message. Sorry about that, but I'd like to say on it. That's
brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and we look forward to seeing those resources when they. Obviously, there's a process, is there, Monica, from when they go from you?
I'm hoping someone else is going to edit them. I'm terrible at editing my own work. I think we all are. We think we've written something and then it's something else. And I spend days on end going back, what the heck? I thought I'd check this. So, the editing process, and do forgive any errors like that. If I've got needed instead of need and things like that. And it's not complete, and it is a work in progress, and I think that 2 terms is not enough time to develop something as important as this. And as I said, it's for you to take and adapt. Don't replicate it, create it, recreate it, use it as a basis to get going on.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for your time today, Monica, for chatting with us about this sexuality education resource that you've been working on. And the final point which you talked about, which is to recreate and create it for the young people that you have in front of you and in your care, is the most important thing the message that we need to take
Brilliant.
When we're going to use this resource. So thank you so much for your time, Monica.
And read that booklet, read that teacher's booklet. It's not that long, and I've tried to make it user-friendly and not too much blah, blah, blah.
That's lovely.